This episode of Welcome Home brought to you by Ideal Homes. Keeping your home safe for your children is important, which means you should check the inside and outside of your home's paint for lead. In this episode of Welcome Home, we're speaking with Lead Safe Inspections Oklahoma, who can help you test your home for lead.
If someone is planning on buying a house built before 1978, they have the right to request an inspection. Under the federal disclosure law, it's actually been around since the 90s. I signed it when I bought my house that, you are aware that there could be lead paint. You actually have the right to request one within 10 days of, before you close on the house, before you're contractually obligated. So that's the best time is to, when you're buying a house, or if you own a house that's built before 1978, especially an older home, then you should call our company. And first thing I'll do is kind of get an idea how big the house was and what year it was built. The older the house, the more likely lead paint is, but the closer to 1978, there's a good chance that you can have, your house tested negative and you can rule out any of these work practices. You won't have to, it becomes a document for the house. So it's, kind of like, part of the deed. So you would pass it on if you sold the house, and it could be a selling point if you didn't have lead paint. And other options, there's a risk assessment, which go on top of that is the lead paint that's present in the house, is it a potential hazard? Is it deteriorating in any way, or is there water damage, or is it flaking or something, creating dust? Because really the dust is the hazard. Lead paint itself is not a hazard if you're aware of it and you know that you have a fresh layer of paint over it, and you also know that you have a proper contractors doing safe work practices, cleaning up properly, containing the dust, and then it really is not as big of a hazard if you're aware of it. Part of a risk assessment is determining is there lead in the dust on the floors or the windowsills that children could come into contact with, even pets could come into contact with. And I've actually found houses that didn't have lead paint currently, when I tested, had lead dust. Over 30, 60, 70 years, the exterior paint had all but pretty much deteriorated off, but a lot of that lead paint, that dust, was trapped in the window troughs and was still there. Lead is particularly harmful to children. It's actually neurotoxin, and so once it enters the body, it never leaves. Children, especially, children who maybe, not have all the nutrients, the body mistakes lead for like magnesium or potassium, good nutrients. So it uses it, puts it in the bones. Being a neurotoxin, it actually, affects development, neurological development and stuff. And what's really scary is that the signs are not really noticeable. Having low poisoning levels, you're not going to notice effects, but it could have long-lasting, effects that don't really go away, like development or even behavioral problems. The kids crawling on the floor with dust and putting their hands in their mouths, like toddlers do, and so it's really ingestion of just the lead dust. The dust can be almost invisible size, particles. This gun is called an XRF gun. It's X-ray fluorescence. It actually has a cadmium radioactive isotope in it, and it uses gamma rays and reads the reflective light, and has a computer in here with a PDA, and so it takes exact measurements of how much lead is in the paint down to the milligram per square centimeter. The limit to classify something as lead paint is 1 milligram per square centimeter, and this will read 0.01. This is very accurate, and it's also non-invasive. It takes 15 seconds, 20 seconds at most to take a reading, and it's very accurate, and then I can upload all the readings into like an Excel file and print that out as part of the report. There are other options that a homeowner has as far as, and this go along with having a risk assessment, and a lot of times your soil can be contaminated with lead. You can have runoff basically in the drip line, and you can have lead paint dust, basically dust particles and stuff that once they really get in the soil, they have to stay at the kind of the top, and they don't really go anywhere. And so that dust can through weathering kind of get into your window troughs, get into your under your door sills, and kind of that can, settle under your carpet, under your rugs and stuff like that. And that is one way that if you have lead paint outside but on inside, you could still have lead dust, say in your window troughs or on your floors from the dust, lead dust in the soil. Our sampling protocol is actually defined by HUD and the EPA, and the inspection protocol is really a sampling method that you can never assume something does not have lead paint. You have to test, and we do that by room. And so a typical room might have 10 different testing locations. You do one testing location on each wall. You do the ceiling, the baseboards, the crown. You do the windows, the doors, even you'd also maybe separate the door casing, the window casing, as opposed different from the movable parts. The inspection protocol requires that I test the entire property, and it requires that I use the protocol for it to be valid. And people should choose lead safe inspections because, one, I have the best technology out there, and two, I'm just by myself. I don't have the overhead. I am actually, I've called around, I'm cheaper than a lot of the other people. Some companies don't really specialize in residential houses, and I specialize in residential houses. They can go to www.leadsafeok.com. There's a lot of information on the website, and they can call our number at 405-843-2710.
Older homes can have beauty and character, which is why you should make sure your home is safe from lead paint. Here are some things to look for to ensure you have a lead-safe home. Lead paint must be totally contained. Workers who remove the paint must be certified to ensure their safety and proper disposal. Lead is toxic if ingested by young children. Lead adversely affects virtually every system of the body, and it can cause brain damage, impair a child's central nervous system, kidneys, and bone marrow. Symptoms from high amounts of lead exposure resemble the flu. If lead is found in your soil, plant some grass or lay gravel or mulch. Children also should wash their hands after playing outside to reduce the risk. Foods rich in vitamin C or calcium help cut lead absorption. Foods rich in iron also help protect children. Since lead can be found around older windows, make sure to paint or replace them. And we'll be back next month with another Welcome Home, where we'll have more info and tips on house hunting and improving your home.